If you haven't heard the story Two Drops of Oil, it's about this boy who's looking for the secret of happiness, and he asks this wise man, and the man says, I want you to look around my palace, and while you're doing that, take this spoon with 2 drops of oil on it and don't spill it. And so the boy goes around the palace and is walking around making sure not to drop the 2 drops of oil. And when he comes back, the wise man asks him if he saw any of the wonders of his palace. And the boy was embarrassed, admitting that he had not, because he was so focused on the oil. So then the wise man goes and tells him again, okay, this time you go and really look at, everything that my palace has to offer. And that time he still took the 2 drops of oil, but he was focusing more on the stuff around him. And when he got back, the 2 drops of oil were spilled. So the wise man was just like, the secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world, but never to forget the few drops of oil on your spoon. And he was relating the drops of oil to the present and the wonders of the world to the future. And so the whole moral of the story was that you need to focus a little bit on both, for your full happiness in life. If you guys wanted to read this whole thing, it's part of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'll put that in the description below if you haven't read it and you want to. But anyway, I know that I said in my last video that I was going to talk more about the balance between the present and the future. And as I was doing a little bit of digging about this topic, there was another part that was added in that I hadn't necessarily thought about when I was making the video last, and that's the past. It's a little bit of everything. And it seems people are always focusing on one or two things. Often people with depression are focusing on the past or the future, like all these things that happened badly in the past, and kind of dwelling on that, or thinking about how hopeless the future seems. And there are some people who can focus only on the present and aren't really looking at what the future has to offer them. So in my last video, I had talked about how it seemed like I was always preparing for the future, always trying to better myself for the future and, build, and that I was never pausing to live in the moment or enjoy the moment. And I guess the way that I was raised in the schooling and just the way things are in my family, I was always told that I needed to prepare for the future, and it was all about the future and, making sure that you'll be okay moving forward. And I remember in high school, we had this whole unit on happiness, junior year AP English, and I wanted to live in the moment, and I just said that seemed really important to me. And since then, I gotta say that I have not done a very good job of remembering to do that, and it's even come to the point now where I don't exactly know how to live in the moment and enjoy what I have right now and where I'm at. I think it's important to recognize the difference between living in the moment and not paying attention to the future, because it's not the same thing. You can do both at the same time. You can live in the moment and enjoy what you have now to an extent while also paying attention to and planning for the future. There's also this whole idea of worrying about the future. can worry so much about the future and what's going to happen and what might not happen, and you forget about today and what you're living day by day just by always worrying about the future. And that is something else that we all get caught up in sometimes, because, you know, we don't always know what the future is going to hold. There's some serious stuff out there. You don't know if something's going to happen tomorrow that's just going to change your whole life. You never really know. So you can never really plan for everything in the future. But that shouldn't stop us from trying to think about our future and think about what we might want to do and what we can do now to prepare for that future. Of course, it's impossible to always look fondly on the past, enjoy the present, and make solid, healthy goals for the future. But we should try our best to, have a balance in our life. Try to think about the future while also enjoying what we have now and not worrying about what we don't have now. Know that we're on this journey to where we want to go and that we'll eventually get there. Because if you're only thinking about where you want to be, it's going to be really hard to be happy with where you're at. You're only going to be thinking about, oh, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I should be. And that's something that I have a problem with too. Because I'm sure most of you know by now that I think in myself that I've just been in school for too long and I want to be done with that. And it seemed like for me, for especially the most recent years, the goal has been finish school. And I feel like I should already been done with that. And it's hard for me to be, really content with where I am now when I believe that I should be in a different place in my life. That's just one of the ways that focusing on the future can get in the way of being happy in the present. And I'm sure there are so many other ways that you have experienced, but there's just me again here reminding you there needs to be some kind of balance, because too much focus on the future prevents you from being happy in the present. Too much focus on the present prevents you from being able to move forward into your future goals, and too much dwelling on the past prevents you from happiness in the present. And it's all tied together. So you just gotta have like an equal balance and not be too hung up on any of the times, past, present, or future. So yes, that is it for today. Hopefully I'll be back again in a week or so with another video. I will see you guys later.